Welcome to the stage, Eric Thompson.
Eric Thompson, everybody.
How's everybody doing tonight? I was woo once. Those were simpler times. Things have been rough lately. I'm currently running on a diet of about 9 cake pops and some jelly beans. So I'm holding in there, but I know a lot of people have had it rough. Anyone in the audience had a rough time recently? Yeah. Sorry to hear that. And of course, I'm sorry to hear that is the most self-centered of the condolences. It's not really even giving an opinion on what happened. Like, I don't really care that you had a bad day. I'm just sorry you told me. So I decided to grow out a beard recently, which is like deciding not to do the dishes. So I was incredibly lazy with my facial hair choices for a little while, and I started noticing that people were reacting a little bit differently. Just assuming different things because I had a bushy beard instead of a goatee. Why the hell is the goatee the most evil facial hair choice? I mean, you see old TV shows, and whenever they put on an evil twin, it's just some dude with a goatee. I feel like the big, snidely whiplash curled mustache is like a much more evil facial hair choice. But as of yet, I'm not able to grow one, so I guess I'm just not that evil quite yet. People say some weird stuff, especially when they're talking about a lot of things. So they say things like, it has everything but the kitchen sink. What the hell do people have against sinks? Like that, everything but the kitchen sink means everything. You didn't need the 4 extra words. And if I went to an apartment and the landlord told me it has everything but the kitchen sink, that's not a compliment. I want my fucking sink. And hell, if I went to see an apartment that was advertised to have everything but a kitchen sink, and it had a kitchen sink, I would be highly suspect. I mean, not at first. My first thought would be, hey, bonus sink, sweet. But then, if they're willing to lie about the sink, what else are they hiding? Everything under the sun is another one they like to say, which also means everything. But this store sells everything under the sun. We sell everything under the sun. That's boring. All my stuff is from under the sun. I want a place that sells me stuff that's from somewhere not under the sun. Like, that would be cooler. When people want to talk about everything from beginning to end, they say soup to nuts, which I also believe is the name of an unfortunate YouTube video. Speaking of weird phrases, one of the things that has always bugged me is, you can't hit the broadside of a barn. Why do you need to specify the broadside? Is it really that hard to hit the narrow side of a barn? Like, he can't hit a barn. Well, which side? So I have wood floors in my house, and I just bought new socks because I like to live dangerously. It's like I'm a figure skater, but only when I least expect it. Did you ever see those videos where they put shoes on a dog? Mornings are rough. So if you see me walking like a penguin through the lobby tomorrow, I am just getting ready to go home. So a few years ago, I ran Tough Mudder. That's not the joke. But I was really happy that I did something that was so tough, that I did something really stupid and did not unsubscribe. So I kept deleting these emails that they'd send me constantly that were things like, "Are you ready to get in shape?" Delete. "Let's get ready to run." No. No, thanks. And then eventually I got one that said, "Hey, good looking." Who, me? Okay, Tough Mudder, I'm listening. "We could do this all day." Whoa. You're coming on a little strong, Tough Mudder. "Go harder." No means no, Tough Mudder. If Tough Mudder was a guy, he would be hitting on you at a bar while flexing and drinking straight from a pitcher because he told the bartender he didn't need a glass. Hi, Matt. I like going to dinner with people who like to order and split a dessert because then I get 1.5 desserts. I got an advertisement on my phone the other day for extreme solitaire. Because when I'm alone, I want to know I'm extremely alone. The advertisement said you can play solitaire against people around the world. I don't think you know how solitaire works. When I was a kid, we played a lot of Uno because my parents thought I was too humble. Uno is the only game where you have to brag before you can win. And if you don't brag fast enough, you get punished. And when you brag, that doesn't even mean you win. Half the time you paint a target on your back for everyone else just to screw you over. I'm going to start doing that in other games. It's going to make the first turn of Monopoly really weird. Uno. It doesn't even have to be games. Just go to the grocery store, look at somebody looking at stuff on the shelf, and just walk up to them and just be like, "Uno." Walk away. Just see what they say. Offer someone some candy, and when they take one, say "Uno," and then wait for their move, like. Or sit in the break room when there's one bagel left, and every time someone cuts it in half, you say "Uno." Just take the fucking bagel. Jesus. Speaking of being passive-aggressive, have you seen the electronic road signs recently? It's like some dude just found out that his wife was going to have a baby, so he's practicing dad jokes. I saw one a few months ago that said, "Black ice is not Minnesota nice." I disagree. Black ice is passive-aggressive as fuck. If black ice was a person, they'd be driving down the shoulder next to you because you didn't let them merge. I feel like a conversation with black ice would go something like this. "Oh, you're driving your car 60. Oh, you wanna make that, oh, you're driving straight? Well, if it were me, I'd be driving down this road sideways, but... Oh, there's a curve up ahead, and you think you're gonna make that? That's interesting." Black ice is the kind of jerk that would hold a door for you when you're too far away and then get mad at you because you don't walk faster. Now, when I moved out here, I knew people were passive-aggressive. People had warned me about people being passive-aggressive out here. But I didn't know how much it would translate to driving. When I learned to drive in Pennsylvania, near Pittsburgh, when you were merging onto the highway, you sped up or you slowed down, you did whatever you had to do to find a spot because there were no shoulders and you had places to be. Minnesotans merge like a kid trying to hit a piñata. They don't know where the fuck they're going, but they're just gonna keep moving forward until they hit something. Speaking of piñatas, I want to know how the conversation about the first piñata went. I feel like a couple guys in a room were like, so I have an idea. Let's get a bunch of kids, and let's put them in a room, and let's teach them that if they hit something hard enough, they get candy. I like it, but I don't think we're teaching them enough. Why not? Why don't we make them fight over the candy? Plus, whichever one actually breaks the thing open already has a bat. Because that couldn't end poorly, right? I like it, but it seems unfair. If we're giving one kid an advantage, should probably give him a disadvantage. Blindfold. Love it. I'm in. Oh, and we can offer these things in the image of their favorite characters so they can beat their childhood out of greed. Piñata, of course, is the Spanish word for Lord of the Flies. The first piece of candy falls, and at the first sign of weakness, those kids they rip that poor creature to shreds. It's like then the next thing you know, they're all running around laughing, playing with its corpse. You've got a kid running around with a leg, another kid hitting someone with an arm, and the biggest kid is eating candy out of the skull of its victim. Piñatas don't fuck around. I've been thinking a lot lately, and I've come to a conclusion. I don't trust grapes. I don't trust them. I'm not a fan of any food that you have to eat in bunches. It's just, if a toddler can suggest the amount of food, I am highly suspect. Plus, if you have a bunch of grapes and you rip it in half, you have 2 bunches of grapes. What witchcraft is that? And like strawberries, when they get old, you have old strawberries. And bananas, when they get old, you have old bananas. And grapes, when they get old, raisins. What the fuck, grapes? What's with the identity crisis? It's like you get a little older, get a couple wrinkles, and you gotta change everything about yourself. Raisins, of course, are the stealthiest of the foods. Their whole goal is to pretend to be chocolate chips. I was an English major, so I'm a big fan of commas. Well, without commas, Come On Eileen would be a much different song. Still just as popular at colleges. So when I used to write product descriptions, one day I was writing about Lego, and all of them were marked as assembly required. That seems a little forward, Lego. It's like, I mean, at best, they're assembly optional. Have you ever put together a Lego set? It's pretty much just pictures of each step, one after the other, until you make the thing. It's like IKEA is Lego for adults. Just a lot less fun. Just speaking of things you build yourself, I don't understand deconstructed food. Have you guys seen this? Where they like they don't make the food, they give you the pieces of the food, and then they want you to put together the food. Like, there's a place that we used to go to that serves it's marshmallow, graham cracker, and chocolate. Deconstructed s'more. It's like somebody discovered fajitas and just said, fuck it. And they never do it to anything you want them to do it to. Where are my deconstructed crab legs? Like, bring me a plate of meat and a plate of shells, then get those shells out of here because I don't want that crap. I mean, think about it. If you went to Subway and you asked them for each piece of your sandwich and they just took a handful and threw it on a tray and then handed you a loaf of bread, you'd be pissed. Then again, I am interested to see what happens with the next period in sandwich art. I am disappointed when I found out that fantasy football contains virtually no fantasy. Not even one dragon. I feel like a unicorn and some swords would really liven those games up. You can tell how lazy a cleaning staff is based on their wet floor signs. The laziest places, they don't even have wet floor signs. They have signs that say, slippery when wet. The fuck does that mean? This floor was wet at some time. Is it wet now? Who knows? Will you slip? That's on you. It's not like people even pay attention to warning signs anyway. I mean, think about it. You're in a restaurant, someone brings you a plate, and they say, careful, the plate's hot. What's the first thing you do? You touch that plate. Is my waiter a liar? No. God damn it. But to be fair, if people didn't ignore warning signs, we never would have invented the poncho. So I'm confused by bats. Not the baseball kind. Video games have taught me that those are for fighting zombies and stealing cars. But the flying kind, because it's like they're mammals, but they fly because, In my mind, it's like, you know the drawing that's like a person with their arms out and like the wooden wings on it, but instead of that, it's like a gerbil? Somewhere there is an old lost fable where the greedy penguin was tricked out of the ability to fly by the clever bat. I don't understand why they call it a blowjob. That sounds like a drug-related crime that 1920s gangsters would pull. In my mind, it's not sexy when you think of a woman walking up and being like, you want a blowjob, see? And I guess it makes sense, because gangsters are into kinky things like whacking guys and sleeping with fishes. I got an advertisement for men's underwear basic model. It said you could get underwear without all the bells and whistles. That sounds highly uncomfortable. I mean, bells and whistles, that can't feel good, right? I will admit they have piqued my curiosity. So if you hear me jingling around the Phoenix Theater, you know why. If a whisper's supposed to be secret, why do we all know what it sounds like? And have you noticed that in grocery stores, or basically any stores, when somebody needs help from like an attendant or a clerk or something, they'll always whisper at them? And I mean, I guess in a pharmacy it makes sense, because you don't want to be like, hey, I'm constipated, got stuff for that? But I guess we're just different people. But they always ask for help in a whisper. And it bugs me, because not too long ago, there I am in Target, trying to decide which pasta shape is the most whimsical. It's farfalle, by the way. And nearby, there is some clueless person who is asking for guidance from some guru of Target. And I don't know what he's asking. And then I hear, down there on the left. Now I'm in some Douglas Adams written grocery store novel mystery. I know the answer, but not the question, and I have to know. So I watch him as subtly as I can at the moment, which is kind of like... And he walks about halfway down the aisle, and he gets there, and he just turns, and he grabs something off the shelf and walks away. Doesn't even look at it for more than a second. And I walk down there, and it's just the pasta sauce, and it's a wall of pasta sauce. There's no way he's like, hey, where's the pasta sauce? And then just walked up and picked the exact jar he wanted without taking a second to think. That's like having a Where's Waldo mural painted on one room, like one wall of your room, and then staring at the other 3 walls for half an hour going, where the fuck's that mural? And then all of a sudden going, oh, there's Waldo. I can't, what? Prego, of course, is the most pretentious of the pasta sauces. For those of you that don't know Italian, prego means you're welcome. That's pretty self-centered, prego sauce makers. But I have to admit, being from an Italian family, that's not the first time I've been handed a jar of pasta sauce and been told you're welcome. So, anybody else, when you're at the checkout line, do you get judged by the person who's checking you out? Like, I swear that box of cookies doesn't scan on purpose. Just so they can hold them and be like, mm-mm. And for a little while, I tried to pull the my kids just love Oreos. And they're like, yeah, sure. They all know I don't have kids. Shit. So I decided that sarcasm was my best defense, but not actually being sarcastic, just like telling the truth and making it sound sarcastic. Like, yeah, that cake is totally just for me. Yep, these 6 Nerf guns are just me gonna be shooting at other people. That's totally not a gift. Yep, dinner tonight is gonna be potato chips and regret. So I was driving around the other day and I saw a delivery truck that said, "We go the extra mile, even when parked." That seems so inconvenient. Can you imagine a delivery truck heading down the road and the GPS is like, "In 500 feet, your destination is on the right." Fuck you, GPS. We're taking it round the block. And then the even when parked part confuses me. Like, that can't be good. Like, when I park my car, I want it to be where I left it. Isn't that kind of the point? And I have a weird relationship with my GPS. It's this love-hate relationship. Because whenever I need it to take me somewhere, I'll put that in and then I'll start driving. And the next 5 minutes are it explaining to me how to get out of my neighborhood. It's just some British voice telling me things I already know. Like, in 500 feet, turn left. I know, GPS. I've lived here for 10 years. I've only had you in that phone for 3 years, you bitch. Turn left, then turn right. Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much. And then, like, when you're driving home, you set your GPS to go, and then as soon as you get to a point where you know the rest of the way home, you, like, angrily fumble to shut it off. It's like, shut the fuck up, I know this. So I think that's about my time. Thank you all for laughing during my first 30-minute stand-up set, and enjoy the rest of Die Laughing.